We are on it. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Um, for Facebook purposes, if there's any music on this program, we will no copyright to it. Um, but we're not in the musical stage yet. Just on bringing the information, bringing the information. So on this, it's a beautiful Friday out here. It's cold, but the weather outside is nice. We hope that wherever you are, the weather will be similarly nice for you as well. Are you having fun? You doing what you do? We're about to get into this program today. Got a lot of stuff for you this week. Packed with a lot of activities, a lot of highlights. We'll touch on various topics. Definitely, you guys have the situation with Isaac Doe. That was a major headline. Unfortunately, again, there was a 3-year-old girl raped, which is so sad. Um, we don't know how some people can go through all these things. And, Samuel, I'm on a show. Please don't call me. I can call you later. Yeah, folks, all my friends out there, at this time, please don't call me. I'll be on the show. And yes, for all those out there who we have not talked in a long time, hello, I miss. But let's try to get to the details of what we're trying to do here. So yeah, there's a situation with these rapes that just going on. And our people, they just present fake outrage. The real issues that we're supposed to demonstrate outrage for, be disappointed about, advocate about, we don't. We don't do it. We focus on the irrelevant things. That's what we stress on. That's what we get hyped about. Trying to stand for individuals rather than stand for issues, rather than stand for causes, rather than stand to make a difference with their crying for individuals. So that's what's happening in the Republic. A lot of young people have been affected, but nothing happens. The victims are just continuously victimized. Our poor people are suffering, and we need to find a way to bring change. Also in the headlines, the National Election Commission submitted a budget for 1.9 million for one election. We don't, we haven't seen the breakdown of the budget yet. Hopefully we'll get it soon and be able to sink our teeth into it and look at it and assess it. But we have not gotten it, so we can't say too much about it. All we do know, there need to be a lot of reform and change at the Elections Commission, especially for the 2023 elections. We'll touch on that a little bit later. Our Solicitor General this week was crying about being attacked in court. Unfortunately, he's just out there, wants to be flamboyant instead of focusing on the law, So we see that all throughout this case, this bogus case that they have accused Mr. Cummings of tampering with a framework document. And this thing has been explained ad infinitum over and over. And it just seems like some people cannot understand some basic stuff. There was a suspension of Porter. I believe that's probably his second time being suspended. But when some people just get things on a silver platter, sometimes they may not appreciate it, and they throw it away, or because they feel they can operate with impunity, they continue to do that. Again, I don't know what we did before, but we must compliment Ms. Bromskin for her performance in the the Supreme Court bar exam. She came out tops. So obviously she has a platform, Again, she has some inheritance in the sector from her father, Councilor Bromsky, may his soul rest in peace. And she herself is very intelligent. I've engaged her before, so we must compliment her. But she also was in the news speaking to her fellow lawyers that they should be legal engineers. And that's an important point she makes, and we'll touch on a little bit later. Also in the news, there's the breakdown of these domestic debt that people are demanding, especially Senator Darius Dillon, to provide a comprehensive breakdown. I've seen, a list, but it's a list. You can't argue with a list. Somebody gives you a list, they got to bring backup. They got to bring schedules behind that list as to what makes up the list. And so far, I don't believe the Ministry of Finance has provided adequate information on that list. I think it's still out there. Oh, the devil talking. Oh, the devil said that domestic debt, that I'm domestic debt. Nice play on words. But we're gonna find out. We're gonna find out what it's really about, because a lot of people are interested. A lot of the names on there, some of them have like personal relationships that people know about, connection with the president himself. So they need to audit some of those things. What are the services provided that these people are getting all these funding, And then the government put out something called the unpredictable debt. Unpredictable? Jesus Christ. But we'll talk about those. Gonglo is out there being visible. He's going to programs, doing stuff. And he's harking back to the same asset declaration. And we've been talking about that for the longest time. People not declaring the assets. And you're coming into a government position that requires it. That's part of the code of conduct, that's part of the ethics. But people just ignore it. And primarily because the president himself ignored it. In the beginning, he ignored it. And that set the tempo, because even today, there are so many officials of government who have not declared their assets. And it's just still hanging out there. Kalano no debt made a headline to businessman Kalano. There's a $3 million debt hanging on here. Also in the news, as you guys know, unfortunately, we have this whole Russian aggression against Ukraine that got the whole world moving, and we don't know what the economic impact will be on far out countries like ours or on the continent as a whole. But war is never a good thing. So whatever solutions the world powers can come with to resolve this thing, it can happen sooner. Because the Russian economy will be a squeeze, but there are downstream factors, cascading factors that can affect those other countries that probably dependent on Russia for something or traded with Russia So to the extent that they can resolve this as fast as possible, get some of the best internationally known ambassadors and peace people out there to see what they can do, because right now um, it's a lot of ego talk, and it's not good. And we know another issue we've been talking about, um, this whole rape thing. Rape can be rape of adults, can be rape of children, can be violent, can also be statutory rape. But the numbers are increasing. The teenage pregnancy, the young people in places like Riverside. And people can say, well, what does it got to do? Nothing else happening in the economy. So I guess, sex is the only option. But these are children, young children. And we are not doing them justice if we can protect them, even from their own selves or from their communities. So, the gender minister, instead of Piso Sedita focusing on these kind of issues, she's there running around having press conference on a book, which is sick. Hopefully she can wake up and they can focus. I believe they had a conference on sexual and gender-based violence. I saw a clip from a young lady on her page, and which I hope they are doing, because those are necessary things. Those are sensitization things. And I saw some men in the picture, which is great. We need more men to be conscientized. The women are the ones being affected. And most times it's the men, impacting them, executing the abuse against our women. So they need to listen. They need to be a part of this process. So hopefully more people can invite these men, and let them understand that women have rights. Women can disagree. The definition of disrespect and the definition of solution to you feeling somebody disrespect you is not violence. It's not hitting on them, trying to subjugate them in a physical way. That's never the solution. So we just hope more people can be sensitized, more people can be made aware of the importance of women in our society, the value of women, their contribution to development, the rights that they have that should not be violated. And, if those things can happen gradually, we'll get in the right place. So, I talked briefly about the whole situation in Ukraine, but, I didn't mention that many Liberians are out there. I don't know, there were about 60 or so. We just hope the government is being very proactive. I know there are many Liberians who are trying. I believe I heard Yasindi Martin Kwe, she's involved. I know the Cathedral Alumni Association group I'm with, some of them are trying to do stuff. There are different pockets, making an effort to make a difference for those people. So we just hope that more people can wrap their arms around these people to see how they can get things together and be able to make a difference for our people. Unfortunately, the government has not shown significant effort. You see, this the kind of language you get from people. It's sad and unfortunate, but what to do? He said I'm ugly. That's my first time somebody telling me I'm ugly. But that's good to know. So I hope he's handsome in my old age, that he looks good and he can do what he does. So I would dismiss his stuff now since it's been shared and people can see Richmond, Cosibo, or whatever his name is, and what he thinks. So continuing down the line of these activities, I believe the criminal trial for the next boss is supposed to be happening soon, and that's the kind of stuff that Mr. Serena Cephas, should focus on as the Solicitor General of this country. Trying to ensure those who are accused of legitimate crimes, significant crimes, be brought to justice or be exonerated, because it goes two ways. You can incriminate and you can find people not liable for some of the charges that people make against them. So those are the kind of cases that he needs to be involved with, rather than this political party issue that they're trying to destabilize. Well, it's been successful to some extent with CPP, but to smear an innocent man, that's the problem. Tubman University, the faculty there believes that the issues have not been addressed. They've gone slow. That's a major institution of higher learning in the country. We hope that can be resolved as soon as possible. It's never good when your teachers are having problems. The students suffer. The students really suffer. And we need to find a way to really come together and resolve those kinds of things. Another issue, I know everybody was probably aware, the Grand Bassa Hospital, serious fire, a lot of people affected. We just hope that more people will come to the aid of those people, because we always need that. We always need to have some kind of ability to rally around those who are affected by disaster. So the Grand Bassa Hospital situation, there were people who were supposed to be going to surgery. There were people who were, probably take inpatient hospital, inpatients. So all of those is important that, people help each other. And we must say thank you to all those people who were out there that night. I heard Meta Steel contributed to, putting out the fire. A lot of citizens who saw the video, they were running around trying to help. But there was chaos as well. And we don't understand the lack of response. There's definitely probably no fire engine in Grand Bassa County. So it probably had to come from Meta Steel. It probably could have come from Firestone as well. So what is the disaster program for these counties with no access to the kind of resources that can help in such adversity? So what are we doing? So those are some of the things that the discussion that we need to have. The disaster management sector, if I go to the 2022 budget and look at what the budget line item is compared to where it was before, it's minimal. It's minimal. They're not really supported. Oh man, so there's another comment. We'll share the comments later because some of them are interesting. But we also heard a case about this father that supposedly raped and impregnated his daughter. I mean, when we're younger, we did hear about incestuous cases and stuff like that. And because our culture was so screwed up, or is, it still is, we usually hear the rape, messing with underage girls. But we're not, I don't know if our consciousness was not awakened or we're just so oriented to rape and older men messing with young girls that it didn't mean anything to us, and young guys messing with even younger girls. So it probably didn't mean much, but from where we sit now and what we realize how bad things are after the exposure we have gotten, It's terrible. We really, really need to do something about it. We really, really do need to do something about it. Um, so I know you also heard about the whole election scam, right? Where supposedly the next boss was approached to rig the 2023 elections. And like I said, we're going to talk about that, especially the election data, the whole process of registration a little bit later. But, the rumors of election rigging is rampant. It's been around before. In 2011, we felt when I was with the CDC that there was some election irregularities, some ballots that were stuffed, and all of that. Even when the the polls, when the CDC pulled out the state stuff ballots, because we could see all the different, we have pictures, images of all the different precincts and polling places, and nobody will go in there. But yet instead, they could come up with significant number of votes. So, we don't know what happened. And then there's the issue with, RIA encroachment about land. The land situation is always going to be a problem. It's a tough situation in Liberia with the land. Um, you know, people just go onto other people's land and do what they want to do. People just try to seize people's property, trespass and assume that they can have some kind of, statutory sit in on people's property to own it. No, we need to look at that. That's not right. That is not right at all. So something needs to be done. Um, then there's the issue of oh, I got noise behind me. Let me hold on 1 second and see whether I can reduce that noise. And at the same time, get a shadow water. So I'll go on a 30-second break. You'll hold on now. You'll share the video and you'll get more people aware about all the stuff we're talking here. We're coming right back. So I'm back. I didn't get my water. Okay, let me. Oh no, I'm not on mute. So yeah, um, we're just talking about the land threat, and that's at an individual level. That is at an organizational level. It's something that we need to solve. Really, I mean, there are a lot of problems in our country we need to solve, but we have to start. That's the thing. We don't see no clear discussions going on about the solutions. And one big problem we're facing again is this whole electricity issue. You know, LEC has been in the news for this electricity issue, and it's not good. It's really not good. People are having a lot of problems. There's a situation with nighttime, the darkness, and people being subject. On the phone with my niece, and the fact that she couldn't talk because she was scared. But there was somebody walking around in the yard, and she was really, really afraid. And we're texting back and forth. I had to text some other people to come and provide support for her. So thanks to those brothers or those uncles of hers who were able to, connect. I was able to connect with, and they went on the scene to help her out. And thank God nothing happened to her. But there's always that potential. There's always that potential for somebody to be victimized because of the current situation. Some people even say sometimes they could be playing where the armed robbers target a certain area and they connect with the people at LEC to turn. I don't know about that. I don't believe that part. But there has been that rumor out there that that happens. And that would be so sad if they can things can be orchestrated to that level where our people are subject to like an infrastructure limitation, and that limitation is being used to further impose on them to commit crimes against them. That is so sad. So we hope that is not happening for LEC. There need to be some kind of solution, and we really need to get to the problem of what's affecting LEC. We'll talk about that a little bit, later in the second phase of the show. Some other news items. Uh, yeah, people that get crown money. If call it Nina, and I would say Ava this, Ava that. So I would just leave it there. I will not say anything with the other people there. Oh, it's sad. So the guy whose tongue was cut, and he was sodomized, his abuser is supposed to be going to jail, and that's a good thing. We can't let criminals continue to just operate with impunity at all levels. The lowest level, people feel if they can take advantage of somebody, then it's right. Then there's the issue now of the case. It seems like people just do not understand the framework document and what happened. And it's so sad right now. Tito Momo is on the stand lying. I mean, completely lying. And then we got some newspapers who are supposed to be, nonpartisan maybe, be objective and carry the real thing, the headlines on those papers. I mean, I saw one stupid headline where in bold about, Cummings admitting. Then in a small quote, Tito Momo says, which is so crazy. I don't even understand how some of these newspaper can capture the news, right? It says Cummings admits altering CPP framework document. ALP Chairman Momo asserts in open court. I mean, that kind of headline from the Heritage, that's pathetic. You can't issue headline like that. That's just off. So that's a lot of what we had today. Again, there were still other people in the news paying tribute to Dr. Emma Sawyer. May his soul rest in peace. And we just hope that his family are handling this loss. They're doing well. I know his son, friends, who pray that they have the resilience, the preservation, to be able to move our country forward. There's so much. Our natural resources have always been an issue because we have not managed them right. We have not gone into the right concession agreement that will benefit our people. We have not monitored those country plans that our people come to implement in our country. And it's sad. It's sad that our people cannot really get the benefit of what God has given them. But hopefully, we'll see better things in this country, but it takes the right leadership. If the right leadership is not there, we'll keep recycling the wrong leaders. And when I say leadership, I just don't mean at the presidential level. We need leadership across the board. We need the right kind of leadership in the right position to make a difference for our people. What we have a lot of times, incompetent leadership at different levels, which impact our people negatively. So we just have to get that cadre of people. And it's not about political party. It has to be about merit and competence and the ability of those people to do the work. And that those are absent, those are things that are absent from our community. And we have to build that, because if we don't compete, if we don't find the best people to do the work for us, the work never gets done. This LEC problem is a combination, of multiple things. The hydro is generating 88 megawatts of power. That's a significant amount of power. The folks at LEC know that they can effectively transmit and distribute that power. The government knows that. It's not new. I mean, yes, the whole thing with the hydro, like Dr. Lawrence Jones, my friend who's one of the preeminent energy consultants in the world, he said it from the beginning. He said, but that thing's stupid. It will not be successful. And he was right. Doing that hydro, knowing you only have limited amount of water during the year. I saw a picture of the hydro where I could see the sand. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe I was looking at the sand. So how the hydro work? What are you using now? Heavy fuel oil to run electricity? How many people? So they're doing rotations. And they had advertising. They didn't even meet the estimated advertisement about where do we have current at different phases. They didn't meet it. So there's just so many problems plaguing LEC. The transmission, the distribution, then the roguish customers, not customers now. They're stolen electricity because they're not customers. They're just hanging on. And when will we improve the technology? This is something that we have been knowing. When do we improve the technology that people know what the load is on any one individual location? People sometimes try to offer all these different solutions to these things. But some fundamental things have to happen in this country for our country to really be able to move forward. Very fundamental. And part of that is our approach to problem solving. So, we have people who are exposed, people who have been in this environment here in a enlightened, in a modern world. They've experienced something. They know how things work. But sometimes knowing how things work don't mean that you can actually do those things, Yeah, you know how to a phone work, but you don't know how to make a phone. So some people come, but they get that delusion that they have the ability because they were a clerk somewhere in some major organization, that they can do everything that organization has as its mandate to do. No, that's not what happened. That's not what happens at all. So this electricity problem, we got all kind of people, talking, finding solutions. We need to bring our real people who have that capability, because I think the problem is split. I think there's the technical problem that has to do with the distribution, the transmission, and the distribution. Because look, the other day they said a whole bunch of transformers were brought in the country, but many of those are blown up already, they're faulty. Okay. So on that side, that's the management side. That's the monitoring side. You probably bring They could probably bring quality transformers. But when you have an overload that you can't regulate, and the same people who work for LEC are the ones who are creating the overload by connecting, people in communities who should not be connected, that's a problem. That is a major problem. Um, you know, people can get over this thing. But it is. LEC has to buckle up because development is directly tied into roads and electricity. Those are two key fundamental things that need to be there, part of the infrastructure for us to move our economy forward. If we can solve those two problems, I don't think we're going nowhere. But even before that, we got the mindset problem, the way our people think about things, our approach to problem solving, our approach to execution, our approach to even dialogue, you know. So the solution, like some people are offering, doesn't change anything except we have the right situation. And to have the right situation, it starts with the fundamental. Again, the fundamental is identification, is laying out our country, knowing who's where, knowing the houses, numbering them, building an address system, building you know, a national identification system. Yes, we have the NIR, National Identity Registry. And, for data's sake, for information's sake, I would tell everybody, please go and sign up, go and register with the NIR so you can be nationally identified, you know. But then there's the whole issue of territory that we have that causes economies of scale to just drop, fall apart. Everybody wants their own data center. The central bank has a data center. NASCAR has a data center. I believe LRA has a data center. So there's 4 areas with data center. Whereas Liptelco has a data center. And they were the one built to provide that service. Are there some issues? Maybe. Can it be corrected? Sure. But the equipment technology at Liptelco is enough to service the country. So why is there no effort? Is it because everybody want their own eating? Is that what it is? Because you look at the budget and you look at the communications for all these different agencies and all the stuff that plan, it could be so much better if Liptech were managing everything when it comes to government communication. Everything. From the cell phones to the whole fiber optic or microwave. Everybody should be connected through Liptelco. And I don't understand why we can't get to that point where we really, really understand what the real solutions are for our systems, the stuff we have. We just let it go. So we need to look at that. Now, 2023 is on a doorstep, right? And there has been talk out there for a long time about how we acquire the election data, how we clean it, how we apply biometric to it. What was the amount the Elections Commission said in order to do the biometric? What is it, 91 million or something? It's crazy. It can be done for less than that. But they need to work with collaborators and be able to get that stuff done as fast as possible. Because where are we today? We are at we have a database that we're not sure of, that is not clean, that you can't fully identify people. Okay. We have a national registry. I don't know whether now it's 2 years for renewal or 5 years, but there's limited registration there. We have the NASCOP database. Maybe 50, 60,000 workers are enrolled in that system. We can have one unified database. One. We'll come to those questions in a little bit. I see some good questions out there. One. We only 5 million people. Robust databases take billions of records. So there's no reason why we can have one real national data system that controls everything, where every agency can have some kind of view of that database based on what kind of work they are doing. Yeah, 98 million, Jesus Christ. What kind of work they are doing, and be able to get the data and use it. I mean, and there's multiple uses of data that can happen if we're really serious in terms of getting a system that can work, where nearly everybody, whether it's the police, whether it's the land record people, whether it's the elections commission, whether it's the LRA people, whoever needs data can get to use that system if we just do it right. If we just do it right, So we got to modernize the economy. We got to modernize the economy. And there is no way we can move this country forward if we don't build the right infrastructure, especially the technology infrastructure. That is critical. That is very critical. And because we're small, it's probably easier to do. Like my friend George Farmer can say all the time. I agree with. There is no problem in Liberia that has not been solved somewhere else before. There is no problem that exists in Liberia that does not have a solution. All we have to do is customize that solution to our situation. That's all we have to do. There may be several variations of those solutions out there too. So we have the opportunity. We're just not maximizing on the solutions to that opportunity in terms of how we apply it and how we retain that ability to maintain what we have implemented. So it can't be all about talk. It has to be about implementation. That's what we're lacking. Everybody can talk, but let's get some of these projects implemented that can change our life. Technology can do so much for us. It can bring our students competitive with any student in the world. Many of our people are extremely smart. I really believe our people are extremely smart. But we don't give them that opportunity. We don't nurture that level of intelligence and smartness that we have because of what we have in the country. The limitations on our education system, the limitations on our infrastructure, the technology and the roads. So it limits people exploring their potential, getting to where they're supposed to get to as an individual. Very limited. Then when you compound that with a kind of prevalent mindset around them and the insecurities attached to that kind of stuff, it just makes it worse. The many man, I'm small man. He asked me all kind of questions. So we get to that. We went through the big. Oh, I forgot one key thing. The government opened a dialysis center, which is a big plus. It will save lives. How many lives at this point? We don't know. We just hope that that can be one facility that is properly maintained so that it can continue to help the people. We don't have the numbers. It would be nice if around these things they can say, how many patients we have, how they expect to treat people, what the process is. Because any new thing you bring, you got to sensitize people to it. People got to understand the significance of having a dialysis center. How many people have died because we have not been able to have dialysis for them? And the disease that dialysis deals with is prevalent in Liberia. Many people. So we just hope that our leaders can pay more attention to little things and work with people. So we start from the bottom and go up, right? There's Vahum many man. He got many comments here. Well, he talks about the domestic debt with a fake list. Seriously, that list needs to be investigated. Hopefully, Dylan and whoever else lawmakers that are supporting him, they will be able to dive deep into this thing. One way they can authorize the GSC to really delve deeper into this situation. Easy. We guys are gonna nurse or somebody here because the word she's using about preceptors and other than that, but me they thought about dealing on it because it's important. We complained when I was with the CDC about this Ellen Sirleaf government also paying fake debts or prioritizing certain kind of debts. Okay, and we see the same thing happening. And if you talk change and you come to the system and you don't really apply that change, then what are you? Was all that talk just so you could get to the table too and do what other people were doing? Nah, it's really sad. It's really sad. Okay, so we really need to focus on those lists. Senator Dillon, you are supposed to be the light. That's what you claimed. And that's what the people elected you to be. So you got to keep revealing these things and you can drop it. You got to demand that they show those lists, that they show the vetting around those lists. Oh, when they talk about change and chance, there's only one thing between there. You change the G to C or you change the C to G. They not decipher it. So yes. So again, people are applauding the government for this dialysis, but the professionals are saying yes, we need the right doctors and nurses. They got to either train people up if they're not at that level, hire people now who can make that stuff successful, because you don't want that to be another cause of death, right? If it's not done the right way, definitely it will accelerate people's death. So we hope that they will be able to get the right professionals in there, that dialysis machine can really do its job for the people. So we'll go to some of the comments. Okay, so basically I just said what this person said. If they have trained doctors and nurses for dialysis, it'll be perfect for our people. That's a fact. Okay, and this is from Stephen Johnson. The man so popular, he got 2 pages. I think he got 3 now, sir. 2023 is a crucial election year. Going to a sanitized voter roll is a recipe for fraud. That's a fact. And, with fraud come other issues too. So we really hope that they can look at this thing. I was privy to a communication where I believe the National Elections Commission is trying to engage with the National Identification Registry. Okay, this whole idea I was just talking about, integrating the our different systems to have one system of record that is the authority that people can really deal with, be able to extract the data and have different views, is something that was brought up because the National Elections Commission was trying to meet different political parties and stakeholders to discuss biometric, a biometric voting rule. And the National identification registry, the NIR, is doing biometrics, as is NASCO. And how can they work together? What are the options in terms of um, the NIR and the NEC working together? Um, the 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 NIR had done a proposal um, to the NEC for them to be able to work together on the voter registration process. Yeah, there's some questions, you know, but no doubt it would be a wonderful thing if they could actually get together, find out how they can centralize the voter registration at the National Identification Registry. So, yes, some people may say, oh, yeah, the NRR is charging each person to register. But you can look at it this way: they have a system. And if the next starts from scratch to build a system, because people register free to vote, they don't pay. And we look at our costs, other than 98 or 96 million, whatever, what really is going to be the voting piece? And I think, did I see that budget? I don't know if I saw that budget, but there is a budget out there, and there's some numbers as to what it would take. So they got several scenarios. They got three where the NRR, National Identification Registry, is suggesting that the NEC build a separate biometric system that's compatible with their system, so they can share raw data, right? So now, once the NEC collects that data, they can share with the National Identification Registry, and they can have the same data too. But what is the sense of doing that? Because in essence, it would be like duplicating the same effort. And then there could be a duplication of the information. So they got to go through that whole deduplication process where they're trying to remove all the duplicates. And that cost could be, exorbitant. Then there's a second scenario. They say NEC should collect the data. That means NEC is on the front end engaging people. But any registration goes into the National Identification Registry biometric data system. Okay. And then automatically the NRR will register people, and then it will transfer that clean data back to the NEC data center that will be able to generate the voting roll, because everybody 18 and over, should be in our population, and it will send that. That's one other option. Yes, that sounds a little helpful, but it doesn't really solve the problem. What needs to happen is for both the National Identification Registry and the NEC, supposedly that we agree that the NRR should be the database of record, even though some people say it should actually be NASCO. But that's a separate discussion. Let's assume that NRR is the right place for this to be. So using their system now, they jointly enroll Liberians. Everybody is involved. And those voters get the voter registration card, which is like a national ID card. So that national ID card can be used if coded, and they can scan that information anytime when they go to vote. And then it's easy to be able to edit that kind of information. So if they have one centralized database that can capture all the voters first, and then eventually get to all other Liberians, the voter, when you capture all the dependents and everything, you have a whole population. That would be the right thing for us to do. But can we really get together and do it? That's the question. Can we effectively work together? Can people sacrifice their only personal eating they were going to get to be able to do this? So it's all about doing the cost benefit analysis, because in the long run, that's the best scenario. Because once that data is there, all government agencies can basically use that data for taxation, for so many other purposes. So it's essential that we really think about that and do it. So let's see from our other man, Vahum Meneme. President, we are his cabinet ministers only building condo single family houses and also buying. Oh, that's not the only thing they're doing. That's something they're doing, but that's not the only thing. I mean, we got to be honest here. The next person says, oh yeah, this person told the manpower and Ruth Pemba and experienced preceptors leading the process. Yes, we really hope so. If we have qualified personnel, a lot of things will go right for us, but we have people in places that are not competent to do what it's supposed to be doing, and that creates problems. We have 2023 is a crucial election year going to Iowa. Yes, we agree. That's a fact. Somebody had a question. One and two. Do you think they should have expanded the hydro? They did expand the hydro in terms of its megawatt production, but dry season affects things. It reduces the output of the hydro. So the hydro in itself was not well thought out. Was that the right place for us to go? Could we have had other options? I'm sure we will have other options. We could have decentralized. What is spent nearly $300 million for the hydro? We could have gotten a more stable electricity situation with that. So again, we have to go to the drawing board because it's not working. It's really not working effectively. Or if they could simulate a hydro over there during the dry season where the dam is still working effectively, it's just spinning. Because someone I talked to recently, there's a new technology out to produce electricity where it's just about something circulating and creating the power. I don't have enough idea about it. I'm not an engineer. But there are alternatives out there. There's wind energy out there. There's solar energy. And we do have renewable energy department. What are they doing? How are they helping solve the problem? That's it. Sometimes people are in position, but they're not doing the work to validate that mandate. I know you're not on Cummings' team. What is this platform for the young and old folks? I was on the team. I'm still a member of the ANC. So to a large extent, I believe I'm, positioned to speak to those issues. And Mr. Cummings really, really believes. Let's start with the old people. He believes that government has an obligation to take care of its own. If we can't take care of our old people, that's a reflection on our generation and the generations that are immediately following us. Our old people are very vulnerable. I myself am approaching that point where, I'll need people to help me and take care of me. So social services have to be improved. All our contractual deals, all our concessions, all our business that government do, all the taxation, there's got to be something committed to supporting this population. And luckily for us, we don't have a real old population like people like Japan or the United States. No, we have a youthful population. 65 to 70% of our people are young. Okay? So the emphasis is on them, but there got to be residual in social programs, safety nets to help our older people. And we shouldn't always depend on our foreigners. That's the thing. We're so dependent, our people, government feature fee, they can just eat the money that the country generates and let the international community be there to bail us out. It's like instead of us finding social safety net for our people, we're looking for economic and safety net from the other people. It doesn't work that way. Okay. Now for the young people, Mr. Comey is somebody who has been there and done that. He understands what it takes. He really believes in education for our young people. Look, I want to share with you people this document on our capacity is our human capital in Liberia is disheartening, but it's something that we really, really need to talk about. Let me see if I can find a link because we really cannot go far if we cannot improve our human capital. Um, Many of us were lucky in terms of the foundation we got to be able to um, blow through these numbers that I come and share with you about human capital. But it's very sad. It's an article published on the World Bank website, and they say the title is "Shedding Light on Liberia's Human Capital Outcomes." It's clear there is no silver bullet for promoting sustainable and inclusive economic growth. That's true, right? There's no one solution. There's nothing that you can just say you do and you got sustainable development, you got inclusive economic growth, all of those things. It's difficult. People have been trying for a long time, all right? But fundamental to any development is your human capital. Because when you improve the skills of people, you improve the health, their own knowledge, the resilience. That's what the human capital is. They will be more productive. They'll be more adaptive. It spurs innovation. They have a flexibility to do A or to do B or to do C. And that's what can reduce poverty because when you empower people, they are able to fend for themselves. They don't become dependent people. I really, really believe our people are proud people internally and want to be able to do things for themselves, but many are not able. And the way the system is built for them to come and beg. It's a beggar system. It's not a sustainable system. It's not a growth-oriented system. It's not an independent mining system. It's a dependency system. The system wants people to pay homage. And that's what Mr. Comey is trying to do. He's trying to break that system. And that's what the system is fighting him. They're doing everything they can for the status quo to remain. So the World Bank did a study on the the different outcomes around human capital in Liberia. They identified the leading causes of these outcomes and then how to address some of the challenges. And this was the first of its kind in sub-Saharan Africa. Within this World Bank Human Capital Project context, because the world believes that Africa and other less developed places should stay on their own. They need to increase the rate at which they're trying to develop. They need to make better investments in their people. Because look, if our people were educated, we would not be crying about civics and how people vote and all of those things, because we have more critical thinkers. So we are only at 32% of our potential. Okay, when you look at our human capital index, where the highest is 1, we are at 0.32. That's 32%, and it's one of the lowest value in the whole world. I will I will share my screen so you guys can see where Liberia is. Okay. And we just talk about that particular so let me share my screen. Show a specific window. Okay, so this here is Liberia's human capital index, right? Or it's the world. Look where Liberia is. You can follow my cursor. This is where we at. Okay. We at 32%, 0.32. So we're right here. Only few countries are below us, both from a horizontal and a vertical perspective based on the axis. So this year is the only country that below us. We are here, right? Only these two countries are less than us on the horizontal axis. And here on the vertical axis, only this country is below and this a little bit. It's sad. So you look at that here, right here, they say Liberia Human Capital Index is 0.32, which is one of the lowest values worldwide. Lowest. Let me see if I can zoom in for you so you can see it and no got problem. You see it? So you see what that means? A child born today in Liberia can expect to be only 32% as productive as a child born in most other places when they grow up. Okay? So you're not even reaching to 50% of your potential as a Liberian child. That's what Mr. Cummings is trying to change, because Mr. Cummings see the world, the major problem is garbage in, what the children are being taught. He's trying to change that. The direction of the world is towards technology. He's trying to ensure that STEM, science, technology, engineering, math, are key elements of foundational education. When you start children's mind in that direction at an early age, even if they go up into economics, agriculture, and stuff, they have a STEM background, which is fundamental to them engaging in the rest of the world. And honestly, I think we have a natural aptitude for technology and math as Liberians. Many of the young people who get into it, they enjoy it, they become good at it. So why can't we make it ubiquitous where nearly everybody in Liberia is exposed to it, all our young people coming up? That side of their brain is being nurtured for them to be able to do it. So that limits our children's future. How can you, at 32% of your productive, I mean, that your best level is 32%. How can you compare with those people at 70, 80, 90%? Only the very few who are just so extraordinary, I don't care how bad the environment is, they will surpass it, will be able to make it. It's not fair to them. It's really not fair. So our children need complete education. They need better health. Look at the other day, somebody was telling me there were no drugs for TB. No drugs. And young people are born and dying because of that. Look at this. Estimation shows that Liberia GDP per capita could be almost 3.1 times under the ID health and education benchmarks. So Mr. Cummings talking about getting the 1 billion, right? That would have nearly doubled our GDP based on the doubling of the budget, right? Because that budget is actually a derivative of where our GDP is. So if we need to get to 3.1 times that in order for us to be reaching ID health and education benchmarks, what are we doing? What is the move to that? Who in the government looking at some of these reports and trying to lay out the direction of how we go to achieve these? It's not there. So what it's saying is, this means to get to that 3.1 times on where we're at ID health and education benchmarks, we need to increase our annual economic growth 2.3 percentage points over how long? 50 years. 50. Do we have 50 years for us to start to see real competition from our people? No, we don't. You know, fortunately for us, we have examples now of Liberians who are some of the best in the world in their areas of specialty. That tells me if we give more people the opportunity, there will be more Liberians in every area excelling. These kids are really smart, seriously, really, really smart. Look at the numbers. 100 children born in Liberia today. 7 of them will not survive to the age of 5. In the growth, can you imagine 30% of our children under the age of 5, their growth will be stunted? And that risks their cognitive and physical limitations. So if your growth is stunted because of your diet, there's a limitation to your mindset. There's a limitation to your intellectual growth. There's a limitation to your physical development. So those are things that we really need to look at. And those are things that Mr. Cummings is really concerned about. Education, advancing our youth, finding opportunities for them. You know, everybody will now go to the brick and mortar academic institution. And even since COVID, we realize that there are so many different ways for learning, that virtual learning is a possibility. If we are properly structured, we will have so many Liberians in the diaspora who have the expertise and stuff teaching our young people. But it takes infrastructure. It takes continuous electricity. It takes good network. Our broadband has to really be broad. So there's just a lot of things that Mr. Cummings envision for this country, for our young people, for our market women, for our petty traders, for our older people, that if given the opportunity, he can bring to bear. But sometimes people ask, oh, why he can do all the things right now? How can an individual do it? We have a government that is collecting our revenue, making all our deals, has control of all our concessions, has control of our natural resources, which are being exploited, especially our gold right now. What are they doing? So it's about time that Liberian people try to be a little bit more critical and try to focus on our people. Let's make a difference for our own people. Man, the other one you say, I don't understand it, but I'll put it on the screen and let me stop sharing. Say you always, maybe he meant you already made your way a president. Then you had the blue up complaining. Yeah, man, I've said it consistently. I had a belief that George Weah loved Liberia and loved the Liberian people, and he want to make a difference for them, a legitimate difference. The CDC came to power, and George Weah ran away from that. George Weah promised that he was going to surround himself with competent Liberians. There are so many competent Liberians out there compared with the people that are in his government today that are hindering him. Everybody knows George Weah does not have the leadership, management, educational ability to be, president. No, but he was the choice of the people. He was the popular choice. And being a popular choice and being somebody who had professed to love Liberia and to some extent had really demonstrated that when Liberia was, in need, especially when people, who based on the war and stuff, they needed different kind of support and everything. We was in a position. He helped many. But he has totally flipped the script, So I helped to make him president. Does that mean I should just accept all the wrongs he's doing in terms of running the country and the people who run the country with him? No, it doesn't mean that. That's what democracy is. That's what freedom of speech is. It gives you the opportunity to talk about these things. Okay? So don't expect somebody who cares to just be quiet simply because they made an error. No. Hey, in retrospect, it was a totally wrong decision. But did I know George Weah will come and be this corrupt and allow this level of corruption in government? No. I mean, the whole governance process is broken down. Audits are being suppressed. People can see all the bad things, all the wrong things. But they can only see it from a distance. The full transparency is not there. The devil say, how often does next scrub the data to ensure the integrity prior to voting? Devil, you better respect yourself. And next, you don't want that. People have to come here to scrub our data, and what happened? They didn't even scrub it right. So our data still got some issues. And that's strategic. Most times, they don't give you the data electronic. They give it to you on PDF with even no copy provisions. So getting that data into a form to analyze on that can be the war. But we're on it. We'll do it this time. Easy. They wanted an meal, spoon. A different people talking about you. Found many men. You need to kind of show and defend yourself. You can't know where you get all that statement from. We are use the funds and give it a spoon to act like humanitarian to the Liberian citizen. He's on his show preaching CDC message about President we are doing well for Liberian citizens. No, I don't think Spoon can say that. I think he know better than that. I don't know what he mean by well. Maybe well need a new definition. There's another one. Many men were the popular men on the show today. Stanton with us when his panelists told Liberian citizens that you still working for others are not coming secretly. And then I told them that if anything wrong with it. But people forget that I'm an ANC partisan. That I never worked for President Weah or at the time Ambassador Weah. I never chief of staff anything. I mean, I have position in the party. But in 2016, I didn't have any position. But because of my own effort, my own commitment to whatever I'm with, that what makes me valuable. You know, when you add that to the knowledge I bring and the will and commitment, it just helps to make things happen. So, government, they can keep talking, yeah. They can keep talking. So, yeah, folks, this has been a good 1 hour plus. We'll be here again next Friday. Some people are suggesting that we'll switch the show to Saturday. I don't know what that is. I will probably test a time frame tomorrow, Saturday. Just go on and maybe get one guest or so and talk and see, you know, whether the time frame resonates with people or not. But again, I want to say thank you for watching, for listening. There's a lot that we have to do as a people. You know, a lot of issues out there. A lot of potential. Liberia has huge potential. And, you know, gradually we'll start to break down those things. We'll start to talk about the different sectors, the potential solutions from the ANC and from Mr. Cummings on how things should run. But it takes time. We can't just overload. We got to build and build and build and then be able to get to that. So I want to say thank you for joining us today on the Weekend Review. We'll provide this weekly update, bring some of the news items to you. Definitely you are a part of this story. You can contribute and be a part of everything we're doing. So I want to say thank you. Have a wonderful weekend. Again, for those, this past week, there was some people lost their loved ones and stuff. We want to say sorry to you. Have our sympathy. We hope that the Lord blesses you and empowers you to be resilient and preserved in the face of all these different adversities. And then, you know, to my friends, childhood friends, the Kofas, you know, we share your pain, but celebrate your mother. Your mother made a lot of impact. We've seen the comments from different people on how she influenced their lives, and definitely looking at you people, she made a difference for you. So hopefully the funeral will be a celebration of life. We saw all the different videos with Fonati on the ground and the people being on the mat. That's wonderful. Thanks for, you know, Segon, thanks for keeping me updated. You know, these are people who I knew from It had to be from before 1972 because we're living in Black Belt era. They were living on the Center Street side. We were living on the Lynn Street side. And through the shortcut, we had a pass right by the house. And then we're all Catholics, went to school with an older brother and everything at Cathedral. So we've been family for a long time. So I just want to say, be strong, stay together as a family, all will be well. Have a wonderful weekend, folks. Take care.